G'day everybody, Max Wright here and welcome to another episode. Now I have a really exciting announcement today and I think it's going to have profound implications for the world of Bitcoin. I think what we're going to talk about today is important infrastructure that's going to really help Bitcoin explode in the developing world, and these are the people who need it the very most. And so as we make this announcement, I've got our friend John on the line. John, how you going?
Hey, how you doing, Max?
Now, John is head of operations from a company called ShapeShift, which is a part of what we're talking about today. So, John, why don't you start off and give us a heads up about what ShapeShift is, because it really is a great contribution to the entire crypto world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ShapeShift.io is a instant cryptocurrency exchange, meaning that we allow someone to exchange from one cryptocurrency to another of a number of different cryptocurrencies, and to do it relatively instantly with no accounts, no signups, no particular information they need to give us, nothing in particular they need to hold with us. Everything happens very quickly from one step to another. And one of the philosophies of our company is we do not touch fiat currency. So everything on our platform is all crypto-based only.
Right. Now, I've used the service. It's incredibly easy and intuitive. You simply let the website know what currency you're going to send, what currency you would like to receive, you send it, and a little while later it pops back the currency that you wanted, right, with a nice easy conversion. It's an incredibly user-friendly and easy experience, and it really goes a long way to making the entire crypto world a lot more seamless. Now, that's a really cool piece of infrastructure. Now, how long has the company been around, and give us a list of some of the coins that you've already integrated with.
Sure. So ShapeShift has been available. Technically, we launched our public beta at about the end of August of last year in 2014. And originally, we were only Bitcoin and Litecoin. That was sort of our test model. But at this point, we support over 15 different cryptocurrencies, and we're adding them all the time. So we have Dogecoin, we have Darkcoin, we have Blackcoin, we have Ripple, we have NXT. We recently added Startcoin. We have a number of different coins on the platform in addition to that. And we're adding more all the time. And actually here in the next couple of days, maybe even today, we're kind of in a testing just about launch phase. We'll be releasing BitShares and bitUSD as well.
Right, and that's the really exciting aspect. I mean, BitShares, it's another cryptocurrency, but bitUSD is a really exciting integration, I think, because, again, all of the other cryptocurrencies, they're all subject to volatility. And with bitUSD, you have a cryptocurrency with no counterparty risk, public provable securitization with a cryptocurrency pegged to the US dollar. And like I said, that's going to have a lot of ramifications. We're going to get to that in a second. So now that we know what the base level of ShapeShift is, we know that the big announcement, BitShares and bitUSD, is especially exciting, going to be integrated in your platform in the next day or two. Can you tell me a little bit about, you've got some other products called Lens and Shifty. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that kind of lens and what that means for the consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they're two different products. One is called Lens, and that is a both Chrome and Firefox extension that we've released, and it's all open source as well, so everyone can check the code and know what's going on in there. But essentially what it allows a user to do is any customer can browse any website that takes Bitcoin or any website that can even display a Bitcoin address. And using Shifty right from their browser with the extension, they can send any cryptocurrency they want to a Bitcoin address that we support and have it instantly converted into Bitcoin, including a specific amount of Bitcoin if that's what's wanted. So the easiest to understand use case is someone who's shopping on a Bitcoin supported merchant such as Overstock or Newegg or something like that. And they want to pay with the alt currency of their choice. They don't necessarily want to pay with their Bitcoin. Maybe they want to pay with Litecoin. Maybe they, here in the next couple of days, they might want to pay with their bitUSD and not have to worry about the volatility and just, convert automatically. Or maybe, their Ripple, their NXT, whatever the currency is. And they can pay that invoice directly through our system. Essentially, we give them a deposit address. They send into the ShapeShift system, and then the Bitcoin is automatically sent to the merchant. And effectively, as a result, every Bitcoin accepting merchant now accepts any coin that we allow on our platform. So that's the Lens.
So now let me qualify that. Does the merchant need to sign up for this process, or the consumer needs to just be aware of this process and have the plugin?
Good question. So with the Lens, the merchant doesn't do anything. It's all on the customer side. All the customer has to do is download the Lens, and now any merchant that takes Bitcoin can now take any of those altcoins, at least for that particular customer. Now, the flip side of that is an HTML widget that we've released called the Shifty button. And that's essentially the reverse side of this for merchants. So they're able to put a button next to any of their products or other websites where they already accept Bitcoin. And then a user, even without having the plugin, can click on the button, sort of like a PayPal payment button or something like that. And it'll pop up a window that sort of acts like the lens and lets the user choose whatever alt currency we support that they want to convert from. And then the merchant is sent Bitcoin. So we actually have both sides available, but the idea is that if the merchants want to integrate, that's fantastic. But even if the merchants don't, the customers can still pay with their altcoins using the lens.
So this is really cool. This is the beginnings of what we've been looking at for a long time in the world of crypto, which is smart wallets. Which is I can store my funds and spend my funds in the denomination that I choose or the currency that I choose, and you can receive those funds in the denomination currency you want. But seamlessly in the background, ShapeShift makes us able to communicate. It's like, if I travel to Europe and I've got to transfer my dollars to euros, I've got to go and find a third party to do it. And what this allows is it instantly happens behind the scenes by ShapeShift, and it's a really cool advancement for the whole crypto world. So now you mentioned that these two, Lens and Shifty, were, you said they're open source, and at present they're browser plugins. And I imagine there's probably either an opportunity for you guys to do it or for maybe a third-party entrepreneur to step up and create these as kind of the smartphone applications, which I think will have significant impact as well. What are your plans there?
Yeah, good question. So just to be clear, the Lens is a plugin. Shifty is not a plugin. It's just a piece of HTML that anybody can put on their website. So we specifically wanted to do that so that even if a user didn't want to install anything, it still works. But a very good question about the mobile side. I think a lot of people, there will be a lot of things on that realm. I think certainly ShapeShift within the next quarter or two, if not sooner, will be releasing our own mobile apps for both iOS and Android as soon as our dev team can sort of get to focus on that. We've just, of course, we have a lot going on, a lot of things we want to add, so it's always a priority order, but certainly mobile is on our list. And sort of what you were getting at with this idea of sort of, a smart wallet or something like that. I think it's really important to sort of point out that ShapeShift, in our minds, is really just a building. It's a great piece of technology that we've developed, but it's really just a building block infrastructure to start with. So that, we think that hopefully ShapeShift is going to enable a lot of different developers to build a lot of different ideas, probably things we haven't even thought of yet on top of it. And one of those immediate things that keeps coming up with a number of developers I've talked to who want to use our publicly available and full-featured API is that creating a wallet, a native wallet, or web wallets, where someone can essentially receive and send and transact in whatever coins they want, and just decide what they want to hold as a base. Or even we've talked with people who want to create wallets that have a bunch of, some of these wallets that are coming out let you hold a bunch of different coins and hold a bunch of wallets basically within one wallet, and being able to even transact within your own wallet, being able to convert right within your own wallet of, I want to move, my Bitcoin over to bitUSD, or I want to move my bitUSD over to Ripple, and do that all just within your wallet without having to go anywhere, effortlessly and quickly, without needing to put in any account information or anything like that. Essentially, in our minds, the more people build on top of it, the more ShapeShift becomes infrastructure underlying things in the background, the more powerful it can be. And, our hope is sort of, years down the line, for lots of people, even in some of the examples you've already brought up, like in the third world, et cetera, will be using ShapeShift and not even necessarily know that they're using it. It's not important to us that they, we like the brand, obviously, but it's not important that they necessarily even know they're using ShapeShift, as long as developers are building things on top of the platform that can really offer a good user experience to people and really pull people in.
Right. And I know, having worked with a lot of the different crypto projects out there, it's fun that you mentioned, it's like, if push comes to shove, you guys will build these apps in-house. But there's a tremendous opportunity for entrepreneurs out there and existing Bitcoin wallets and other altcoin wallets to just integrate and build this, and they can go ahead and beat you to the punch if you wish, if you like. And I'm sure you'd be happy for them to do that. There's a real opportunity there for people to create these smart wallets, and I think it's going to happen very, very quickly, sooner than most people realize. So now let's kind of transition into one specific use case here, which is what I kind of alluded at the very beginning of this discussion, is that the concept of, let me frame it this way. In the first world, we've seen Bitcoin have some incredible strides in the last year or two, thanks to great companies like BitPay and Coinbase and others on the merchant processing side. They've allowed businesses to easily accept Bitcoin, transfer out of Bitcoin into fiat, and therefore we're getting a stable currency. And at a later date, they can always switch back into Bitcoin and send. Now that's fine and all well and dandy for in the first world where we have many banked customers, people with access to bank accounts. But unfortunately, BitPay and Coinbase, they can't service customers that don't have bank accounts. And that's why I think the integration with bitUSD and ShapeShift is so significant, because we have over 3 billion people in the world who do not have access to bank accounts. They're the people who need it the most, and they also are the least capable of handling the volatility of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. When you're living on $500 a month and you're accepting that for your business, a price swing of 10 to 20% is unbelievably significant to you, and you just can't afford to do that. But if you are not banked, then you also don't have the opportunity to use BitPay and other services and jump into a stable cryptocurrency. That is until now with your integration with bitUSD. And I think it'll be very soon now where these smart wallets sitting on top, you'll see people in the third world, they'll be able to accept Bitcoin. They can immediately jump into bitUSD, and this is a securitized asset. It's a cryptocurrency. They have the private keys to it. There is no exposure to third party, and there's no price volatility if you consider the US dollar having no price volatility. Then, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, a year later, if they want to spend that, they can just jump back into Bitcoin and spend it again. It all happens seamlessly right there in the ShapeShift, with the ShapeShift protocol underneath. I think it's incredibly exciting. What are some use cases that you see, or how do you see that working in the third world?
Yeah, no, I think that could be huge. And sort of how you pointed out, a lot of them, they don't have easy ways into or out of any sort of banking system. So something like BitPay or Coinbase, even the merchant services they provide, are not really adequate for a lot of those places yet. But as some of these places start to get more up on cryptocurrency and they want a stable way, and it's things like these smart wallets, like the way you coined it. I like that term, by the way. I've never been using smart wallets, but I like that. I've always just been saying wallet that can send and receive any coin, and that's not near, doesn't have the same ring to it. But as things like that come about, it will become very useful if some of these cryptocurrencies that have come out that, are trying to establish sort of these pegs to a fiat or to, gold or some sort of base like, BitShares and bitUSD and BitGold are trying to do. But the idea is that between all of those different things, if someone can actually give you that ability to hold something stable and then pay with Bitcoin, and more merchants start accepting Bitcoin, then that's really sort of the overall goal. As the sort of Bitcoin infrastructure expands, it's our view that the rest of the cryptocurrency infrastructure should expand on top of and in addition to Bitcoin, and not try to compete with it necessarily. Not to say that there couldn't be competition and Bitcoin will face, but I think at ShapeShift, one of the cool things that our system allows and that I really believe in is this ability to sort of integrate all of these different crypto communities back on top of each other in a way that supports each other. Like, there's a way for people to innovate and do different things with these different types of coins like bitUSD, but still have that all sort of feedback and provide liquidity between the different systems. And the more that happens, I think the stronger the cryptocurrency community is as a whole.
I completely agree. You make several really good points in there. Just recently there, you mentioned about the liquidity and the depth. And that's something that's so significant because at the beginning of these things, the volume is quite small and the spreads are relatively large. And now that's okay. That provides an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come in and arbitrage those things and make those spreads narrower and narrower. But the bigger the liquidity becomes, the narrower those spreads become, and the more efficient the whole system becomes. So right now, switching in and out of dollars and Bitcoin is a hell of a lot less expensive than it was 2 years ago because the spreads were so much larger back then. So as all of these things happen, those spreads get really tight, and this already incredibly efficient system becomes even more efficient to the point where the legacy system just becomes dust. Now, you mentioned another really important point in there, which I liked. You talked about BitGold. So this is really significant too, because along with smart wallets, it really gives consumers the choice. It's absolutely effortless on their side to choose what currency they want to accept. So some people might find it objectionable to support the US dollar. Maybe there are those people in the world, and they don't want to accept bitUSD, or they don't want to convert their Bitcoin into a stable USD. They would rather convert into BitGold, which is a cryptocurrency on the BitShares platform pegged to the price of gold. You could choose BitSilver. You could choose another fiat currency like BitCNY, that's the Chinese yuan. So it gives people it makes it incredibly easy for people to opt out of systems that they find objectionable. And I think that's a really good thing for everyone. And the third point I wanted to mention is, we talked about the developing world, and how it can be very significant there. Also for projects like OpenBazaar. Again, those merchants have exactly the same problem. No doubt they'll be accepting Bitcoin, but as a merchant, you don't want to be subject to those wild price swings because that can eat away your profit. And so they have the option to use ShapeShift. They receive Bitcoin, it immediately turns into bitUSD or BitGold or any stable currency of their choice, and they can kick it on straight back. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, and just that I don't know if I necessarily have more thoughts on that, but it leads into another natural point of discussion, which is, as we get going and we have all of these things, we're really just scratching the surface of what's available on these platforms. Because as those things get built, as these smart wallets get built, as people use things like our API to build some of these implementations, so that maybe someone builds an API implementation on our system that lets them sort of split that risk, sort of like how Coinbase will let you keep a certain amount, or BitPay will let you keep a certain amount of Bitcoin and turn the rest into USD. What if you want to keep 40% in Bitcoin and 60% in bitUSD, or a split between 3 or 4 different cryptocurrencies? All of that is already possible with their API. It just takes someone to build it. And going back to something you said earlier, at ShapeShift, we're all about people building things. I would love if every day I woke up, one of the ideas that we wanted to build in-house, another developer had already done. Nothing would make me happier, because we would love for other developers to build and profit off of our system and just make ShapeShift more infrastructure. But at the same time, like you said, if people don't do it, then we're very ready to build a lot of these ideas in-house, expand our business that way. But we're pretty confident that the system is so flexible and there's so many things that can happen with it that no one, especially not us, is going to run out of ideas of things we can build on top of it. And I think as more and more people start to get exposed to it and start, playing around with it a little bit, those possibilities are going to become endless.
I totally agree with everything you just said there. I also want to talk about a little bit about bitUSD, because I think it's not very well understood in the crypto world, because there's nothing else quite like it. People are used to cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Litecoin, they understand that kind of concept. But with bitUSD, let me introduce, it's actually most easily explained if I introduce a resource to you. I'm going to take you to BitSharesBlocks.com. And if you go ahead and click on assets here at the top, you'll actually see that there are, on the BitShares decentralized trading platform, that there are a number of different assets here. And you can see that there's the US dollar, the Chinese yuan, Bitcoin, gold, euro, silver, etc. And if you come over here, you can see the market cap. You'll see there's already nearly $800,000 in bitUSD in circulation. You'll see the volume is over $5,000 in the last 24 hours. And then here's the column which I think is particularly interesting. It's the collateral column. Now what this says, there's nowhere else on the planet that this exists. This is a real-time demonstration of the securitization that exists on the blockchain securing bitUSD. So what this means is, for every single one of these $789,000 of bitUSD in circulation, there is $2.43 of security sitting on the blockchain. And there's nowhere else where you can be provably secure cryptocurrency that is pegged to a dollar. That is not done anywhere else, and there is absolutely no counterparty to this. The blockchain is holding the security as escrow, and people are completely free of counterparty risk when they're in any of these assets, bitUSD, BitCNY, or any of the others. And the next column I'd like to introduce you to, which I think is pretty cool, this is the yield. This is actually the interest you earn as you hold any of these units. So right now, just by holding bitUSD, you can actually earn just over 1% per annum. And right now, we're in a little bit of a bear crypto market. So at times when we're in a strong bull market, we might see that yield head up northwards of perhaps even 5% per annum. So those are the kinds of exciting things that are happening with bitUSD. I really like the fact that we've integrated with ShapeShift now, and I think it's just a matter of time, and I think it will be months, not years, when entrepreneurs step forward and really build the infrastructure that will allow the developing world to really integrate Bitcoin and be widespread. John, thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do you have any other final thoughts to wrap up?
No, I don't think so. We went over a lot of cool ideas today, and just thank you for having me, Max.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll remind people, if you are an entrepreneur out there, you do want to work with ShapeShift or BitShares, and you want to actually create these tools, remember the BitShares blockchain is hiring. If that's a strange concept to you, you don't know that an actual blockchain can hire you, then go ahead, somewhere, if you're watching this in the BitShares TV playlist, go ahead and find episode number 2. You'll meet Nikolai. He was the first person ever to be employed by the blockchain. There are now 27 full-time employees employed directly by the BitShares blockchain. You can find out all about that in episode 2. You don't have to just be employed, by the way. You can use these funds to actually be the seed capital for your very own business, which is a great way to do it as well. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and like it if you did, share it with your friends, and we'll see you soon. Take care.